The Galapagos Islands have long captivated scientists and nature enthusiasts alike with their unparalleled biodiversity and the evolutionary marvels that have emerged in isolation. Among these treasures are the iconic Galapagos tortoises, symbols of natural resilience and the slow, steady progression of evolution over millennia. However, these ancient creatures are now facing an unprecedented threat: the incursion of invasive species, which are steadily undermining the delicate balance of their environment. Historically, the Galapagos Islands evolved in isolation from the rest of the world. The native flora and fauna, including the tortoises, adapted over thousands of years to a unique set of conditions, developing intricate relationships within the ecosystem. This isolation created an environment where each species played a vital role in maintaining ecological balance. However, the arrival of humans set in motion a chain of events that would introduce foreign species to these islands, species that have no natural checks or balances in this pristine environment. Among the several invasive species that have established themselves in the Galapagos, three have emerged as particularly disruptive to the survival of the native tortoises. These species were not part of the island's evolutionary history, and their sudden appearance has led to fierce competition for essential resources such as food and nesting areas. In many cases, these invasive animals are not only outcompeting the native species, but are also preying on the tortoise eggs and hatchlings. The introduction of new pathogens and parasites by these non-native species further exacerbates the challenges faced by the tortoises, whose immune systems have never encountered such threats. The repercussions of these invasive species are felt across the entire ecosystem. As competition for resources intensifies, the native species, including the tortoises, find it increasingly difficult to access the nutrition and habitat they need to survive. The presence of invasive species has altered the food web, leading to imbalances that ripple through every trophic level of the ecosystem. The disruption of these intricate ecological networks can result in unforeseen consequences, such as the decline of pollinators and changes in vegetation patterns, which in turn affect the availability of food and shelter for the tortoises. Conservation efforts to protect the Galapagos tortoises have become more urgent and complex as scientists work to understand and mitigate the impacts of invasive species. Researchers are employing a variety of strategies to manage these threats. For example, targeted removal of invasive species, implementation of quarantine measures, and restoration of native vegetation are all part of a comprehensive plan to preserve the natural heritage of the islands. However, these measures are challenging to implement in a dynamic environment where invasive species continue to adapt and proliferate. The struggle of the Galapagos tortoises against invasive species is not just an environmental issue. It is a poignant reminder of the broader consequences of human intervention in natural ecosystems. When species are introduced into environments where they do not naturally occur, the delicate balance that evolution has achieved over millennia is disrupted. The loss of any native species, especially one as emblematic as the Galapagos tortoise, represents a loss of biodiversity that can have cascading effects on the entire ecosystem. It also symbolizes the erosion of a natural heritage that holds intrinsic value for all of humanity. The story of the Galapagos tortoises is emblematic of a global crisis: the rapid decline of biodiversity due to human-induced environmental changes. Invasive species, habitat destruction, and climate change are converging to threaten ecosystems around the world. In the Galapagos, the introduction of non-native species has become a microcosm of this larger problem, highlighting the urgent need for sustainable conservation practices and a deeper respect for the natural world. Looking forward, the survival of the Galapagos tortoises will depend on a concerted global effort to manage invasive species and restore ecological balance. This will require not only scientific innovation, but also international cooperation and a commitment to environmental stewardship. Conservation programs must be adaptive and resilient, capable of responding to new challenges as they arise. Only through such comprehensive and forward-thinking measures can we hope to preserve the unique biodiversity of the Galapagos Islands and ensure that the Galapagos tortoises continue to roam these ancient lands for generations to come. In conclusion, the invasive species crisis in the Galapagos Islands serves as a stark warning about the unintended consequences of human actions. The struggle of the Galapagos tortoises is a testament to the fragility of isolated ecosystems.